for me, I was diagnosed with diabetes about 10 years ago. So my main goal in my career is to kind of work in the diabetes and mental health field, and kind of find that overlap, and to do some like heart-centered diabetes work. So I think that means, connected in a way that patients don't often get in just the mess of the healthcare system. I chose Meridian because my personal path has incorporated a lot of Eastern and Western thinking, and I appreciated that Meridian kind of brought that holistic approach as well, and brings in, soul-based learnings, nature-based learnings, all of that, to kind of provide a more complex, holistic view. And I think that's necessary for us to move the world forward. I chose the Master's in Counseling Psychology because it sets me up in the state of California to be licensed and to work with patients one-on-one. And I think that that's going to be an important part of my career and trajectory. I elected the somatic psychology concentration for a number of reasons. One being that wanting to work with patients with diabetes, I think that the somatic connection and body awareness is essential. That relationship with our bodies is so hand in hand with a chronic illness, and moving through that. And then also in my own life, my therapist is a somatic psychologist, and I've gotten quite a bit out of that journey. So that interested me. My overall experience at Meridian, I think most notably is a change in style of learning. At Meridian, they call it transformative learning. And I think that most of us that have grown up in the Western world have gone through education, from our younger years up to, high school, college, as sort of a memorization and regurgitation exercise. And yes, there's a lot of interactive activities along the way, but I think that there's a component of the education at Meridian that feels even more interactive. And I think rather than the teachers giving us top-down information, I think it's sort of a co-created environment, where myself and the other students in my cohort were sort of sharing with each other our own personal learnings, and I think that really enriches what comes out on the other side. So transformative learning, if you might not have heard of it, includes a lot of activities where we're interacting with each other in class. And so a lot of the homework assignments and posts sort of ask us to do inner work, inner exploration, share a time in our life where this particular topic came up. And so whether we're talking about guilt or shame or an inner critic, some aspect of life that's a challenge, we're sort of excavating and going back and looking in our life to see where that came up, sharing it with our colleagues, and also realizing that everyone else in the class has had those similar experiences. And I think that personalizes the learning a lot more, rather than just reading a journal article from some expert. And I think those are important, but I think our own lived experience alongside it is really valuable. One thing for me that stands out about the faculty at Meridian is the amount of presence and kind of space that they hold in our courses and when we're meeting. I think typically we start each class with a meditation, sometimes bring in a poem, and up until the upper graduate courses as well, we're modeling things such as group therapy, and I think the professors have really modeled that sitting with that we're all practicing to hold complexity and hold a wide variety of emotions in the moment. My fellow cohort is a really diverse and rich group. We have folks from Europe, we have folks from the Middle East, we have folks from Asia, people calling in at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. And folks are interested in all sorts of aspects of psychology in my program. There's some that work with equestrian therapy, some that are doing yoga therapy. So I think that overall it's rich because of that. I decided at the beginning when I first started Meridian to start on kind of the slower track, doing one class per quarter. I haven't been in school in many years, and I kind of had some other things going on in my life at the time, and I wanted to sort of get readjusted and allow myself that time. And so I did that for 2 quarters, and then I bumped up, and I've been taking 2 classes per quarter ever since, and that seems to be kind of the sweet spot for me. I did attend one intensive this previous summer, which was my first, and we're doing them all online right now because of the pandemic. And I think that it was a bit of an adjustment to, sit in front of a computer for a full week. But I think the depth that we were able to go to in that time was valuable. We sort of had major sessions where everyone attended, and then we went into smaller breakout groups every day and kind of consistently saw that group. So it was sort of our cohort for the intensive. And I think being able to build a closer bond with those students and that faculty made a difference. And, I see those students in classes now, and I think it just helps build the community structure around the learning even more. My professional plans will sort of be a mixture of different things. As I mentioned before, I do want to work with patients with diabetes. So some of that work might include one-on-one counseling, but I also want to do content development, educational content development, as well as writing and kind of thought leadership as well. So, change the world. Being at Meridian feels like swimming in a school of fish with other people that are all sort of going the same direction as I am, even though we all have our specialties. And I think that space has been really valuable to my creative process and my work and what I'm passionate about. It's been valuable.